First, I'd like to introduce Dr. John Suffren. He's the Chief Executive Officer for the American Cancer Society. Since 1992, Dr. Suffren has led the world's largest voluntary health organization, fighting cancer with $1 billion in resources to save lives and change the course of the disease. I mean, we don't think about it, most of us, because most of us in this room are not employees of the American Cancer Society, but to change the course of this disease, which has probably affected every one of us in this room in some way or the other, is pretty daunting and also impressive. So let's think about that for a couple minutes. During his tenure, the Society has become a nationwide leader in cancer advocacy, thanks to the creation of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, the Society's nonpartisan advocacy affiliate. He's worked to have the Society's voice heard in legislatures across the country and in forums across the globe. He has spearheaded a truly worldwide movement to bring cancer under control. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Suffren.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here and for what you have done and what I know you will do for your American Cancer Society. I have very brief remarks, and have been reminded 3 times by staff, brief remarks, and then I have a very important introduction to do. But before I do any of that, I thought it would be appropriate, if there's room enough, Steve, I would like to announce to you the 1.5-year-old CEO, American Cancer Society CEO of the Year, Steve Bangert. He's also CEO of VoBiz Financial. Steve, stand up and be recognized, will you? Just selected, CEO of the Year. Thank you for being here, because you are by definition and by invitation leaders in the corporate world. And I just want to say in an Uncle Sam way, we need you. We've never needed you more than we do today. And why do I say that? I say that because we now know, as Dave alluded to, we've changed the course of this disease, and we have growing amounts of evidence that we could make this cancer's last century if we do the right thing. That's a remarkable statement to make, and it certainly won't happen if we sit on our hands. But if you think about the hundreds and thousands of years that cancer's been around, and you think about it being the major public health problem it is, it's a strong statement to say that if we do the right things, we can continue the decline in cancer mortality rates and eventually start talking about the end game for cancer, as we do for tobacco, and bringing it under control as a major public health problem. 3 years ago, I was in New York City as an official part of the U.S. delegation to the first ever UN high-level meeting on non-communicable diseases. Since the end of World War II, there have been 25 high-level meetings. They've dealt with all kinds of things from poverty, but only one had ever dealt with a health problem before, and that was a high-level meeting on HIV/AIDS in 2001, and it changed the world. So I was there 3 years ago in 2011, September 19th and 20th, with people like Greg Wasson and John Grimmer. John's in the audience today, and they passed unanimously a political declaration that said 4 very important things. Now, this is official government document. Number 1, cancer and other non-communicable diseases will be the number 1, not 2 or 3, number 1 health, disease, and disability challenge of this century. We might have bird flu in 2018, I hope not, but nothing will trump non-communicable diseases and cancer as being the number 1 health, disease, and disability issue for the United States of America and the country. Second, it said we have a number of best buys. We have proven interventions that work and can be implemented, Mark, anywhere in the world for $1 to $3 per person per year and work. 3, it said, it's a 13-page document you can read on the internet if you wish. I'm summarizing it, but it said 3, the future economic productivity of the world is inextricably coupled to us controlling non-communicable diseases. Put this way, if we don't have meetings like this, if we don't come together and find ways to partner, if we sit on our hands, just do the best we can, but let other people do their, we will see a $47 trillion loss in economic productivity over the next 20 years, at a time when I could make the argument the world was never more needed, $47 million of productivity. That's a lot of money, and as I said to the CEOs last night, it's probably more money than most CEOs, at least this one, can comprehend. but it's enough to eliminate $2 a day poverty for 2 billion people for a half a century. It's a lot of money. Point being is that we have a compelling case to make that we need to intervene with respect to cancer. The fourth and last thing it said, very quickly, but we can solve the problem. The evidence is here. We can reduce the tsunami of non-communicable diseases that are coming down the pike, but we can't do it without engaging the private sector. So I come back to where I started. You are important. We need you because we want to solve the cancer problem. We want to finish the fight this year, but we can't do it without your help. And you can help us in many ways. Number one, you can help us by allowing us to have a partnership, setting an agenda, making sure we have health promotion and wellness programs in your companies. Number two, you can partner with us in finding ways to increase revenue, and you can also work with us in advocating to shape public policy, because the ultimate conquest of this disease we know of as cancer won't be solved without strong policy as well as continued medical and scientific research. So thank you for being here. I hope you find the rest of your meeting and your impact conference as valuable as what I understand you found this morning to be. It's now a privilege for me as one of the co-chairs for the CEOs Against Cancer meeting and the Impact Conference, Dr. Mark Wrighton, to introduce him as a co-chair. He assumed the duties of Chancellor at Washington University in July of 1995, following more than 2 decades at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he was professor of chemistry and later provost. And let me just pause and say, Mark volunteered himself to host this conference a year ago, and I don't know if he knew what he was getting into, but he spent hours on conference calls. They've been the most generous hosts we've ever had. The food you're eating today is provided to you by Mark and Washington University in these beautiful facilities, and we're really appreciative of that. He has received many awards for his extensive research and scholarly writings, including the Distinguished MacArthur Prize. That makes him a rare gem in and of himself. He holds 14 patents and has published over 300 articles in professional journals, but who's counting? He is a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and he's also a member of the American Philosophical Society. And I'm not sure, but in my job, one privilege is you get to meet an awful lot of very important people. He may be the only person I've ever met that is in all 3 of those societies. And so it goes without saying he's a special person. But what I like is that he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and get involved locally to make things happen. In 27, Chancellor Wrighton was selected as the St. Louis Citizen of the Year at an annual award presented by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper for his outstanding contributions to both Washington University and the St. Louis region. Wrighton was selected as the 2010 winner of the Right Arm of St. Louis Award, the most prestigious individual honor conferred by the St. Louis Regional Chamber and Growth Association. So it's indeed a privilege and pleasure for me to introduce to you Chancellor Mark S. Wrighton. Mark?
My wife reminds me I'm just a chemistry teacher. But it's great to have everyone here. You're on the campus of the Washington University Medical Center, which is the largest and most important part of Washington University. We're close to the eastern edge of Forest Park here, the largest urban park in America. And on the other side of the park, the western edge, we have the Danforth campus. On this campus, we have about 9,000 employees, operating revenue for the medical school and its activities of about $1.7 billion. That's roughly 2/3 or more of our total operating revenue as a university, so you can appreciate that medicine is important. On the Danforth campus, across the park, we have 85% of our 13,000 students. When I tell parents of undergraduates that we have 13,000 students and 13,000 employees, they say, now I understand why it's so expensive to go to college. But we have a very large medical school. This is one of the largest academic medical centers in terms of clinical programs, in the top few. And we have a very large and very strong research enterprise. Of direct relevance to the American Cancer Society and everybody gathered for this Impact Conference, we have here the Alvin J. Siteman Cancer Center. And Many things have happened during my 19-year tenure as chancellor, but none brings me greater pride than the development of the Siteman Cancer Center. Today, the Siteman Cancer Center is the third largest cancer center in terms of new patients in the United States, third after Sloan Kettering in New York and MD Anderson in Houston. And I might note, quite obviously, those are both very large cities compared to St. Louis. We're the 18th largest metro population in America. Washington University has done some very important work relevant to cancer. We have a strong program in clinical activity. We have a very strong program in prevention. We try to educate our community about the importance of diet, exercise, and programs that can tend to reduce the probability that cancer will be in your life. But we also do a great deal of research. And I want to take a couple of minutes and tell a story that reveals the potential for the kind of research that's being done here. You need to know first that I'm an inorganic chemist, so I'm not responsible for any of this. And I can only tell the story because I've heard it several times by people who have actually done this and done the important work that I'm going to try to summarize. Doubtless you've heard of the Human Genome Project. The sequencing of the human genome was launched as a major project in science. For biology, it was the very first big science project. And it was started with great fanfare and took years to complete and hundreds of millions of dollars. Washington University did the largest fraction of the genome sequence, about 35%. It was an international project. And when we declared victory on the 50th anniversary of the elucidation of the structure of DNA, the sequence was declared done. However, no single individual sequence was actually done. It was kind of, put it all together from different bits and pieces of DNA collected from different people. 2003, 11 years ago. Today, we're doing complete human genome sequencing of individuals on the time frame of a couple of days and for about $1,500. That work is being done in many places, but here at Washington University, Professor Timothy Lay, who interacted with the CEOs Against Cancer group this morning, was a pioneer. Alvin Siteman, the principal benefactor for the development of our Siteman Cancer Center, was approached by Tim Lay back in 2007, 4 years after we declared victory on the genome sequence. And he said, Mr. Siteman, no one's actually done a complete human genome sequence, and I have a proposal for you. Here's my proposal. I'll do the complete human genome sequence of an individual 2 times. I'll sequence normal cell DNA from an individual, and from the same individual, cancer cell DNA, and I'll compare them. And the differences will reveal the origins of the cancer. This was a pretty ambitious project. And NIH decided they wouldn't be able to fund it, too risky. Who could do a complete human genome sequence in 2007? But Mr. Siteman felt, I've invested so much already, perhaps, I'll take another risk. And in the fall of 2008, the results were summarized on the front page of the New York Times. It didn't make it above the fold because the day this was announced in the New York Times, the election of President Obama was also announced, and that made the above the fold. So he did the complete human genome sequence 2 times. Cost was $1.6 million, or approximately that. And he found about 10 differences. and they thought, wow, we're onto something. 10 differences out of 3 billion base pairs. Phenomenal. Maybe the clue to cancer is there, just in those 10 differences. But it's complicated, as they say, and you need to do more patients with the same kind of cancer. And they began to do that, and they did another patient, and they found, yes, 10 differences, but they were 10 different differences. And this project has continued to unfold. The technology has improved. We can now do those genome sequences of individuals on the time frame of a couple of days and for $1,500. We partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. We've done a very large number of sequences of children who have or have had cancer. The great thing about St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital is that they have great clinical information. They really have documented how patients have responded to the chemotherapeutic approach they received. We've developed a database of information from the genomics, and that's now guiding the chemotherapy for children with cancer. One other very exciting result that was obtained here by Tim Lay, a researcher in his own group, Lucas Wortman, faced the challenge of leukemia. Intractable, he was down for the third count, and it was suggested that perhaps he should have his genome sequenced to see if there was something special. They did his genome sequence, they saw a defect, and somehow they came to the realization that the defect that they saw was the same as a certain kind of kidney cancer for which there is a pharmaceutical approach to dealing with the disease. Here's leukemia, kidney cancer, and they treated this person with leukemia with that drug, and he went into remission and is healthy to this day. That is the power of individualized medicine. That's what's taking place not only here, but in great research institutes around America. The CEOs this morning heard of the challenges associated with the funding of the NIH, and we know we need to work collaboratively to build that. But the work that you're doing to build the resource base of the American Cancer Society is very important also, because the support given to researchers can open doors to cures that I think are going to be very impressive as we look to the future. So thank you for all that you're doing, and I look forward to continuing our work together to assure that cancer becomes at least a manageable disease and that we see many more survivors in the future. The American Cancer Society has given me a special privilege as co-chair, and that is to take an opportunity to recognize corporations and individuals with the American Cancer Society Corporate Impact Awards. I'd like to ask Dr. Sefrin to join me on the stage as we move to our awards recognition program. This nationwide award series is the highest honor given to a company by the American Cancer Society, recognizing companies for their engagement in targeted efforts to significantly impact cancer's effect in the workplace, to contribute funds to the American Cancer Society to fight the disease, to address responsible community involvement, and their overall support of the Society's mission to finish the fight against cancer. The first award is the Corporate Impact Award for Excellence in Philanthropy. This award honors corporations that have provided $1 million or more to the American Cancer Society in the previous calendar year through a combination of corporate contributions, in-kind support, cause marketing and sponsorship, employee given, and event fundraising. As I call the names, will the company representatives please join us on the stage to receive your award and join us for an individual photo with Dr. Sefrin. The winners of the Excellence in Philanthropy Awards are, first, Delta Airlines, represented by Jennifer Gibson. Fly on up here. Congratulations, Jennifer. And Delta Airlines. And next, Extended Stay Hotels, represented by Randy Cook. Congratulations, Randy. Thank you. Next, IBM Corporation, represented by Dan Hebrank. Congratulations, Dan. Next honoree, Kohl's Department Stores, represented by Ann Johnson. Thank you, Ann. Our next corporate winner for philanthropy is Kroger Company, represented by Janet Austin Moore. Thanks, Janet. Next corporate honoree, Lee Jeans, represented by Nancy White. Thank you, Nancy. The next, not exactly a corporation in the traditional sense, but the award goes to the National Football League, represented by Kevin Demoff. Kevin, thank you very much. Another interesting organization to be honored, the New York State United Teachers, represented by Mark Chaikin. Thanks, Mark. Next, corporate honoree, Walgreens, represented by John Gremmer. Thanks, John. Our next corporate honoree is WellPoint, represented by Steve Martinet. Thank you, Steve. And next, and finally, among the corporate honorees for philanthropy, Wells Fargo, represented by Kristen Polchensky and Desiree Coleman.
We had to be different.
Two shots. Big smiles right here. One more. Hold it. Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen and Desiree. Let's give all of these corporations that have been recognized a big round of applause. There are other million-dollar contributors who couldn't be with us today. I'd like to recognize them in their absence: Abbott Laboratories, Bank of America, Curves International, General Motors, Humble Bumble, Maurice's, Dress Barn, and Lane Bryant, Nucor Corporation, Procter & Gamble, Pantene Beautiful Lynx, and Walmart. Next, I'm going to present 4 separate awards to companies in specific areas of support to our fight against cancer. These honorees are nominated from across the country for outstanding work in the fight against cancer in the specific areas of tobacco control, cancer control, employee engagement, and employee given. When each of these recipients is called, please come to the stage to receive the award and pause for a very nice photograph. The Excellence in Tobacco Control Award honors a company that implements a company-wide smoke-free policy that is enforced across all United States work sites. Under the policy, employees are offered access to a tobacco prevention cessation program, and all barriers, including employee out-of-pocket expense, have been removed. It's my pleasure to recognize with this award Express Scripts, represented by Dr. Stephen Miller. Congratulations, Steve and Express Scripts. The Corporate Impact Award for Excellence in Cancer Control honors a company that provides health, information programs, and benefits in each of the following 4 cancer prevention behaviors: cancer screening, tobacco control, physical activity, and nutrition. The company deploys strategic health communications to increase employee participation in its cancer prevention and control programs. In addition, the company provides tracking and reporting of health participation and outcomes. The recipient of this award goes to CoBiz Financial, represented by Sue Herman, and the company is led by the American Cancer Society CEO of the Year, Steve Banger. The Corporate Impact Award for Excellence in Employee Engagement honors a company that demonstrates outstanding volunteerism in support of the American Cancer Society's mission to save lives from cancer. This year's recipient is Delta Airlines, again represented by Jennifer Gibson. Some additional Delta Airlines representatives.
Folks, turn this way, real close together. Two quick shots. Big smile. Again, like that. Smile, smile. Perfect, thanks.
Thank you, Delta Airlines. The fourth award in this series, the Corporate Impact Award for Excellence in Employee Giving, honors a company that provides their employees with opportunities to support the American Cancer Society's mission through a society-supported employee giving campaign. The award recipient creates an impactful campaign that embodies a variety of best practices, I assume resulting in large sums of money, including branding the campaign, expanding employee giving options, integrating employee and leadership involvement, and recognizing donors and volunteers. This year's award goes to IBM Corporation, again represented by Dan Hebrang. Thank you all for participating, and congratulations again to all these wonderful honorees.